Hello, friends. Welcome back to Tiger Moon. If you're ready, let's hear tonight's story. The three of us stood there, frozen, staring at the gold coins scattered across the floor. They were spread everywhere, like pieces of a shattered sun. I didn't know what to do. Then, suddenly, Tamor dove onto the floor. Hurry, before people get here. We'll split everything equally, Mosen stammered. But, Tamor, these aren't ours. Without stopping, Tamor answered, After Shamsi's death, they are. What do you think will happen otherwise? The government will take them and waste them on their own people. His words slowly erased Mosen's guilt. He threw himself onto the floor, stuffing the coins inside his jacket. Voices were getting closer outside. People were coming. I still couldn't move. Within seconds, Mosen and Tamor had gathered every last coin. Tamor stood up, scanning the floor carefully. Look again. If even one coin is left, they'll start searching for the rest. Mosen laughed greedily. There's nothing left on this floor, except that old witch's brains. Before Tamor could question why I hadn't touched a single coin, the front door burst open. Villagers rushed inside. Sayed Reza entered first, holding a burning torch. Stay calm. The house could collapse again. Before anyone noticed us, Tamor spoke first. Sayed, come in. It's safe. Moments later, Shamsi's room was packed with people the moment they saw her body. Silence filled the room. Some couldn't bear the sight. They ran outside. Sayed Reza knelt beside the old woman's body, quietly whispering prayers. Tamor looked at him with hatred. Sayed, she didn't believe in God. Save those prayers for Muslims. Sayed Reza slowly stood up. Maybe you're right. Maybe Shamsi had become an unbeliever. But I'm certain her customers believed in God. Everyone understood who he meant. Murmurs spread through the crowd. Before anyone could ask questions, Tamor calmly explained, We were returning from town when suddenly the house collapsed. When we got inside, it was already too late. He pointed toward the heavy wooden beam, buried deep in Shamsi's skull. Soon, several villagers stepped forward, preparing to carry her body outside. There were plenty of volunteers. During the confusion, I quietly slipped out of the house. Rain had begun to fall. I hadn't even reached the village when I heard someone calling my name. It was Tamor. Mosen was with him. Tamor ran like a gazelle. Mosen, with his enormous body, practically rolled after him. When they finally caught me, Tamor asked, Where are you going? Don't you want your share? I sighed. Those coins don't belong to me. You two can keep them. Tamor grabbed my shoulders. What are you upset about? She was an unbeliever. She had no family. If we don't take them, the government will. You know those coins are ancient. I bet she stole them herself. Easy money never stays with anyone. I pushed his hands away. If that's true, hold on to them tightly, before the wind takes them away. Before temptation could change my mind, sir, I walked away as fast as I could. We were strange people. Whenever it came to taking, we remembered God. When it came to giving back, we remembered no one. When I reached home, everyone was still awake. My father, wearing nothing but his shorts, was pacing around the yard. The moment he saw me, his worry turned into anger. Where were you? We've been worried sick. I quietly greeted him, said nothing, and went straight to my room. That entire night, I dreamed of two things: the gray pieces of Shamsi's brain, and the golden shine of those coins. The next morning, my mother woke me. Someone's waiting for you outside. I slowly walked to the front door, Tamor. And Mosen were standing there like a hungry wolf and a cunning fox, annoyed. I sighed. Tamor, Please leave me alone. He stepped closer. You have no choice. You have to take your share. We don't steal from our own people. I almost laughed. I promise I won't tell anyone. Keep the money. Enjoy it. Tamor looked into my eyes, then straightened my jacket collar. Go back inside. It's cold. Everyone gets exactly what they deserve. Without saying goodbye, I closed the door. These ice spots are... A few days later, Mohsen bought a brand new double cab pickup. He was so reckless. If Tamor hadn't stopped him, he probably would have built a shopping mall in the middle of the village. But Tamor was smarter. He knew exactly how to spend Shamsi's treasure without attracting attention, little by little. He bought sheep, then opened a livestock business, claiming it was financed by a government loan. Soon, people started saying Tamor's business is booming. Months passed. Whenever I saw them living comfortably, I couldn't help feeling jealous. Maybe what they had done wasn't entirely wrong. Shamsi had no family, and those ancient treasures didn't really belong to this era anyway, but by then it was too late. Life had already moved on, near the end of summer. My father and I were returning from the fields as we passed the ruins of Shamsi's house. My father quietly began reciting verses from the Quran. Something was clearly bothering him. I looked at him. Dad, are you all right? He nodded, but motioned for me to keep walking. Only after we reached the edge of the village did he finally speak. When I was a little boy, they took me to Shamsi so she could write a charm for me. I used to see strange things out in the fields, but the moment I stepped inside her house, I ran for my life. I smiled. Were you scared of her? He slowly shook his head. No, I wasn't afraid of Shamsi. I was afraid of the things standing inside her room. I stared at him. What things? He answered quietly. That old witch. She wasn't alone. She was teaching them. If only you knew how many lives she destroyed. People always said there were jinn inside her house. That day, I saw them myself. I believed him, especially after seeing how terrified he became, simply walking past those ruins. But one question remained. If Shamsi was dead, why were they still wandering around her abandoned house? I found the answer much later, because something terrible was already on its way. One afternoon, we heard screams. Everyone dropped what they were doing and ran toward the noise. The shouting came from Mohsen's house. His wife was crying uncontrollably. Something terrible had happened. When we entered, we saw Mohsen crawling across the floor, his face covered in bruises. Off of Mohsen's tongue hung strangely from his mouth. The sight instantly reminded me of Shamsi's corpse. We soon learned he had fallen from a ladder. His jaw had slammed against a large rock. Just imagining it made my body shiver. Using his own pickup truck, they rushed him to the city. A few days later, as I was returning home from the fields, my mother told me about Mohsen. They've spent a fortune on doctors and bone setters. I shrugged. Don't worry about them, Mother. They have plenty of money. She quietly replied, Nothing is more valuable than a healthy body. I smiled and went to my room. The truth was, I still regretted walking away from those gold coins every day. From sunrise until sunset, I worked the fields or sold our crops in the city. Soon, the cold autumn days arrived. Farming slowed down. Most of my week was spent taking milk to town. Even that wasn't easy. Every morning, I walked several kilometers just to reach the main road. Getting home at night was another challenge. One evening, darkness fell before I reached the village. My path always passed by the ruins of Shamsi's house. It stood beside the road, like a scar that refused to heal. Ever since my father told me about the creatures living there, walking past those ruins felt like crossing the bridge of judgment. Every step, I expected something evil to leap out and destroy me. That night, something finally happened. Just as I reached the old house, my head began spinning. My legs became weak. My vision blurred. Dark shadows moved across my sight. I couldn't tell whether whether they were truly there or simply tricks of the darkness. Then I heard the roar of an engine. A pickup truck shot out from behind the ruins. I recognized it immediately. It was Tamor. He drove like a drunken man, swerving wildly across the road. Exactly as I feared, the truck left the road and slammed into a tall poplar tree. I forgot all about my own condition. I ran toward him. His head rested against the steering wheel. I thought he had passed out. Then he slowly lifted his head. His eyes were filled with tears. He looked like a man who hadn't slept for days. Before I could speak, he threw the truck into reverse and sped toward the village. I stood there, watching his taillights disappear. Then I heard loud cracking sounds. Again and again. The noise grew louder. I looked around in confusion. Suddenly, the massive poplar tree collapsed to the ground. I stood frozen. The crash hadn't been strong enough to bring down such a tree, but somehow it had fallen anyway. Days passed. I couldn't stop wondering what Tamor had been doing near Shamsi's ruined house that night. Not long afterward, rumors spread throughout the village. People whispered that strange visitors were entering Tamor's house. Spirit healers, exorcists. His wife tried to hide it, but the villagers always found out. The neighbors said every night Tamor screamed in his sleep, "Leave me alone! Leave me alone!" Day by day, he grew worse. He stopped working. His memory faded. He became paranoid. Sometimes he beat his wife for no reason at all. Every healer, every exorcist, every holy man left his house defeated. Nothing could cure whatever had attached itself to Tamor. One day, we heard he was dying and asking everyone for forgiveness. My father and I went to visit him. The moment we entered the room, my father stumbled. He grabbed the wall, trying not to fall. I reached out to help him. He whispered, "Leave me here," near the door. Tamor looked terrible. Several heavy blankets covered him. Yet, he couldn't stop shaking. Without even raising his head, my father quietly asked, "How are you feeling?" Tamor opened his mouth. He tried to answer, but it wasn't his voice. Something else spoke through him. The sound that came from his throat didn't belong to any human being. It sounded as if hell itself had found a voice. None of us understood a single word. His mind was completely gone. I stared at him in horror. Then my father quietly whispered, "Let's leave." The moment I saw my father's face, I immediately said goodbye and walked out. On the way home, he slowly recovered, but he was still trembling. "Dad, what's wrong? Did you catch whatever Tamor has?" He sat down on the stone platform outside a nearby house, took a deep breath. The sadness in his eyes reminded me of something I'd seen long ago. I sat beside him. There was something inside that room, wasn't there? He slowly looked at me. "People may doubt heaven, but after what I saw today, I know hell is real." I felt my heart stop. "What did you see?" He answered quietly. Something was sitting on Tamor's shoulders. the moment I saw it. I became that little boy again. It was one of the same creature I saw inside Shamsi's house. I asked him question after question. He refused to describe it. You're better off never imagining what they look like. Then he sighed. Taymor doesn't have much time left. 2 days later, the village mosque announced his death. At the funeral, I saw Mohsen. He was trembling like a leaf. He stared at Taymor's grave, as if it belonged to him. After the burial, I walked over, asked how he was doing. Seeing me seemed to comfort him. He told me about his nightmares. Monkey-like creatures keep coming into my dreams. They tell me my death is near. I felt sorry for him. I thought maybe my father could help. When my father met Mohsen, he didn't turn away. I realized whatever had taken Taymor hadn't reached Mohsen, at least not yet. I told my father everything about the stolen coins. He remained silent for a long time. Finally, he said, "Return every coin to Shamsi's ruined house. I believe those treasures had guardians, and those guardians destroyed both Shamsi and Taymor." Mohsen promised he would return whatever remained. But the moment he left our house, he forgot that promise. Greed had blinded him. A few nights later, during the full moon, Mohsen walked out of his house, barefoot. He was never seen again. His wife kept crying. He didn't even put on his shoes after everything that happened to Taymor and Mohsen. I never regretted refusing those coins again. Just as my father always said, when Shamsi was alive, she never brought good to anyone. It was foolish to expect kindness from her, even after death. Well, friends, tonight's story has come to an end. If you enjoyed it, you can help your channel grow by liking and sharing this video. 100 letters were sent, 100 paths were shown. Either you never learned the way, or you never read the letters. May God protect you. Your friend, Tiger Moon.